is up, everybody? Welcome to Pub Sports Radio and the Draftkings Picks and Prediction Show. Be sure to tune in every Wednesday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, where me, Lou, Monk, and Gordo break down the upcoming card from a DFS perspective and give our predictions on the fights as well. Also, be sure to leave a like here, subscribe to Pub Sports Radio so not miss out on the content throughout the week. I do want to note that we do have the contest still going on pubsportsradio.com. It's just like Tapology. You pick the winner, the round, the method, $100 the first. I think Clint took it down last week, so go check that out if you haven't. And then, as always, we're going to go back and forth throughout the panel members. We'll talk our fights to target, fight to fade, fighter to fade, favorite dog, prize picks, GBP play, cash play, value play, dart throw. As you guys can see, Weezy is not here. Weezy was like, man, this card sucks. I'm not showing up. So in steps Lou. Lou, what is up? You looking forward to the show?
Oi! Yes! He didn't do the show last night. I figured people were missing it. I am super pumped for this card. I am not the type that cares. I just like that we have fights. It's like an extended contender series card. And only 3 Americans in this card. It is possible no Americans will win on this card, or will they?
We'll have to see. We'll have to see. We got Gordo. Gordo, what is up? You looking forward to this card?
Yeah, no Americans winning. Now you sound like my country. When the peak, the face of your country is Kyle Nelson here. Like, I don't know what you're complaining about, man. But no, it was good to have a week off. It looks like Lou is just a bald version of Weezy right here. We had all this time to research, and this is like the first time that I actually had time to research prize picks. So I think that's a huge win for me. So I think we're all good. I think we're all ready to go. But no, I'm happy to see your face again. Happy to have Lou here, and let's make some money on this card.
Let's do it. And then last but not least, we got Monk. Monk, what is up? You looking forward to the card this week?
Yeah, I heard Weezy actually is in South Korea. He was really looking forward to this one, flew all the way out there. It turns out their Wi-Fi is trash, and so he's not able to do it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the card like one of these guys said, man, I just want some fights in my life. I don't care what time they are. In fact, I'm a night owl. I love the fact that this shit doesn't start till 10. It's just going to be me and the fights, maybe something to drink. You know, just having a blast at 3 a.m, just staring at my TV screen. So I'm looking forward to these ones. I like the main event. We'll see if it actually happens this time.
Yes, sir. This is definitely a card that has fights on it for sure. No name value, but I think, stylistically, we're going to get some fun fights, some fun finishes. And I think this card's pretty good for DraftKings. So I actually am looking forward to it. But I know a lot of people that are not, and I can't really blame them. But I think people are going to be surprised with how fun this card is, as long as you can stay up for it, because it's going to be a late night for sure. But guys, enough wasting time. I say we get into it, and let us start with the fight to target. I'll kick this one off. I'll take the easy one off the board. I'm going to go with a Serghei Spivak, Derrick Lewis. It looks like it's around minus 800. Fight doesn't go to decision. We have a striker versus a grappler matchup where Derrick Lewis on any given slate against anybody in the world, you have to play this guy. He's sitting at 7,400. Would it shock me if he knocked out Serghei Spivak? Absolutely not. Spivak's been knocked out twice in the first round. And I don't know, there's just a different confidence in Lewis this week. And I think he's very live for the knockout. On the flip side, I think Serghei Spivak has one of the highest ceilings on the slate, multiple takedowns. And what I like most about Spivak from a DraftKings perspective is he's not going out there and land praying. He's going out there, he's taking you down, and he's working nonstop. The strikes are going to add up, and we have seen Lewis quit more times than not. So I'm going to be playing both sides on this one. I think Derrick Lewis is one of the more intriguing dogs on the slate just because he can knock out anybody in the division. But Serghei Spivak, I think he has a great ceiling in his own right. So I'll probably be close to 100% on this fight. Lou, how about you? What is your favorite fight to target this week?
I'm going with Kazama Nakamura here. It's the third best fight doesn't go number on the card. It's minus 280 on DraftKings. They both have a great grappling upside. I'm super excited to watch Nakamura. Honestly, this dude looks like he's a total star. He's not only got grappling upside, he's very active on the ground. I think he's going to win by KO, but Kazama is throwing up subs from his back. The winner of this fight's going to get triple digits, I think, easily. So give me Kazama Nakamura as the fight. And either side, I mean, Kazama is also like a real good cheap option here, but love this one.
Yep, I'm right there with you on that. Gordo, how about you? What is your fight to target?
Yeah, a lot of options. So I was trying to get a bit different this week. Let's go with Jubli versus Saragih as my fight to target this week, mostly because I think that it's right in the middle of the pack, and both their path to victories will score pretty well. Sergey has got power. He displayed that in his road to the UFC bouts, and he's at this ability to carry that power later on, even if he looks kind of tired. Whereas Jubli is a guy who will wrestle heavy, or at least he did on the regional scene, not really much on the road to the UFC. So if Jubli says he's going to wrestle heavier, like he did say in his interviews, that he is going to push that pace, well, it's either only going to open up more openings for someone to Sergey to find that finish, or it's going to allow Jubli to collect those takedown points, get more top control and ability to score very well. All of this being at the mid range, I actually like this fight quite a bit.
Yeah, I ended up with a ton of this fight just with how lineup construction was. So you have a lot of this fight. So I'm hoping it pays off, whether it's a Saragih knockout or a Jubli, grinding based decision, maybe late finish there. Monk, how about you? What is your favorite fight to target? We already talked about 3 pretty good ones.
Absolutely, and I will give you a fourth. We'll go with the penultimate fight of the evening, Da-un Jung against Devin Clark. This is mostly a one-sided pick, obviously. Not obviously, but I'm going to be on the Jung side. That said, though, when you pair these guys together, they've had 6 fights since 2021. 5 of those 6 fights, either them or their opponents have put up over 100. 2 of them over 110 points. 4 finishes, 2 first-round finishes, and 5 times either them or their opponents have made the optimal lineup, guys. 5 out of 6 fights. So much like, surprisingly, like the Kim and Mandy Bum fight, the loser of these fights, or the whoever loses in between Jung and Clark, usually makes or the winner of that fight usually makes the optimal lineup. So I'm really looking forward to this one. I'm on the Jung side, but who knows with Devin Clark? After Jung got KO'd in the first round, anything's possible here. So yeah, give me the Jung and Clark fight to finish inside the distance and have the winner score pretty well.
Perfect. Sounds good to me. Let's move on to our fight to fade. We'll start with you, Gordo. Gordo, what fight are you fading this week?
Can you guess?
Yeah,
I bet I can.
Do you want to? I don't want to steal your thing, Brady. Do you want to tell me what the name of the underdog is?
Bum.
Yes, Mandy Bum is going up against Kim this week, and it's not a pretty one. I think it's going to be a very popular option to fade, but how can you? I mean, Kim has only scored over 70 points once in her entire career. The girl does not score well on DraftKings, and even at that, can you trust her at $9,000? Does she has more finish equity than Kinoshita, than Lee, than Spivak, than Nakamura? It's so hard to get to her at that price range and just a complete fade. I actually have a tiny bit more Bum ownership this week because I do think that her value will be easier to obtain rather than someone like Kim, but either way, no ownership of this almost at all. Complete fight to fade.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Monk, how about you? What fight are you fading?
Well, I'm going to take the other obvious one because there's definitely 2 of them. I'm going to go with the non-banger at heavyweight, Tybura and Ivanov. Neither of these guys, well, mostly because Ivanov is a terrible DraftKings play. To be honest, I think he allows about 59 points. When he loses, he only gives up 59 points in his last 5. 2.5 points a minute, 70 points per win, guys. That's it. He did score a whopping 85 in his win against Tai Tuivasa. That's like scoring, that was like Jail Almeida putting up 125 last week. It was like Ivanov hitting 85. So at 7,900, I don't think he's going to be making optimal unless something absolutely unexpected happens. Tybura, when he loses, his opponents only score 66 points. He's at less than 3 points a minute, 90 per win. I'm just not seeing the winner score very well. I'll be much more focused on the other heavyweight fight, which I'm sure we'll talk about at some point on the show, than I am on this one. Blagoy is just a DFS killer, for him and his opponent. So give me the big fade on this heavyweight fight.
Yep, I'm gonna agree with you, Monk. This fight sucks. And to be honest, I might fall asleep during it. It's at this time, it's gonna be like 2:30 in the morning when this fight happens, and I just think it's gonna be boring. I don't think there's gonna be a lot going on. I don't really see either guy having much success in the takedown route. I think it's gonna be a sloppy, greasy heavyweight fight that goes to decision. Like the fight goes to decision is like favored to like minus 200, which you never see for heavyweight fights. So the prices are intriguing, but I mean the fight just not. So I'm gonna fade this fight and hope it goes to decision with not much going on. Lou, how about you? What fight are you fading this week?
Blagoy is going to try to top his 64 he got against DeLima last time out. No, I'm with Gordo, man. It's got to be Bum and Fire Fist. Kim could actually, if she wins a volume-based decision with how many strikes she throws, like she did against Cachoeira, she could score all right. But there's so many people on the slate, like Gordo mentioned, like right around that salary that just have tremendous finish upside, have grappling upside, that I don't think her 10xing at that number is going to cut it. So for me, also, I don't want to care about that fight.
Oh yeah.
I care more about Bulgarian 50 Cent than I do this fight. So total fade for me, Kim and Mandy Bum.
No shame with that answer there. Let's move on to our fighter to fade. I'll keep it rolling here. It's got to be Ji-yeon Kim sitting at 9,000. And yeah, like you said, Lou, I actually think she scores good. I think she scores very well this week. I think she puts up a very good volume based decision. But man, you got Tybura up there, 600 more. You have I don't know. You have Rina Nakamura. You have 300 more. You have Jung-yong Lee, 100 less. You have Kinoshita, 100 more. You got Duo Choi up there. You got Da-un Jung up there. You got Serghei Spivak up there. I mean, I just think everybody else around her has a much, much higher ceiling. I think she scores okay. Like maybe she can get like 90 points. But I just think everybody else has a much higher chance to finish the fight and put up a much bigger score. So yeah, I'm fading Kim this week. Don't have her in any lineups. Monk, how about you? Who are you fading this week?
I'm going to fade the brown bear, Devin Clark, although he has a fantastic tattoo on his chest, that whatever with the antlers, and it's a real True Detective season 1 vibe he's giving off there. I don't know if that's good or bad, but it does look cool. He scores only 3 points a minute, 96 per win. The issue I have here is his defensive pace. He gives up 3.7 points a minute and 107 per loss in his last 5, in which he is 2-3. He has been finished in 2 of those 3 losses. Da-un Jung on the other side, 4 points a minute, guys, more than that. And he scores exactly what Clark gives up when he wins. 107 points right there. Average value for Jung is 13x. Absolutely love to see that. Meanwhile, Clark is out here giving up tons of points and takedowns and control time. Over 1.6 points per minute, in fact, in those 2 categories. And again, that's exactly what Da-un Jung is scoring in those 2 categories, about 1.8 points per minute. Lastly, the salary voodoo on 7,500 is absolute dog shit. That salary, when it is paired against 8,700, has a win rate of 12, or an optimal rate rather, of 12.66%. The win rate is just 25% there. I love Da-un Jung here for a multitude of reasons, all of which is going to make me fade Devin Clark. So that's going to be my biggest fade here this week.
All right, we got fade on Kim, fade on Clark. Lou, who you fading this week?
I mean, I hate always doing this. Not always, but I hate having to do this. But it's got to be Aguilar for me. I know there's not a ton of dogs I love on this card, but like his ceiling, I mean, his floor is 0, and his ceiling is probably also 0. I don't see his only path to victory is landing like a miracle guillotine in the first round. I don't see it happening. I don't see him landing any strikes. I don't see him getting any takedowns. I don't see him doing anything here. At least Mandy Bum is facing somebody who hasn't won in the UFC a lot. So maybe she could even get some kind of 10x in a decision. I don't see how Aguilar gets more than literally 1 point. So I'll have 0 of him. Bold move, I know.
Yep, I have 0 of him as well. So I'm hoping he loses. And odds are he's going to lose. He's a huge dog. Gordo, how about you? Who are you fading this week?
Yeah, only way Aguilar wins this fight is if if Tyra's befriending James Krause on the side and something's going on backstage there. But I'm going to be fading Marcin Tybura this week, and not that I don't think he has a potential to win this fight. It's just at $8,300. What's his ceiling? He's facing a guy who is just impossible to kill, is just not fun to fight, and doesn't score well by doing so. I don't think this is going to be an action-filled fight. I think it's going to be a much slower-paced one. And I mean, Marcin Tybura was able to show that he's able to win a fight by only scoring 59 points last time. Who say he can't do that again here? So to me, it's a slow-paced fight. I do not want to pay the favorite price tag on anybody in this matchup, so he'll be my fighter to fade.
Sounds good to me. All right. Let's go to our favorite dog, and Lou, we'll let you kick this one off. Who is your favorite dog this week?
All right. I think I know what Monk's is, so I'm going to go a little different anyway. I'm going with Adam Fugitt at 7,100. I actually like him outright here. This is one of my dog plays that I like. He does have takedown upside. He has finish upside. I'll break down all those reasons later on tonight on a different show on Friday, why I do not love Kinoshita here. This is also my yam bag play of the day, and I haven't used this term ever, but I wrote down he has yam bag equity in a decision that he could win because of point deduction just to get that 30 points. We have seen Kinoshita grab the cage and get disqualified. There's no reason to think he couldn't grab the cage again. So a lot of yam bag equity You welcome Pub Sports for having me on Fugitt, and it's $7,100. Even if he loses, but he has a pretty good round, he could get 35 points in one round just from takedown control, some punches. But I think he wins outright, and he's a slate breaker if he does.
I'm surprised you haven't hit up DraftKings yet about getting yam bags and points for that.
I have. I showed you what I wrote. They just don't care.
Well, they better start caring. I mean, that'd be awesome. Like 10
Gotta
points.
Get John Kelly on it.
Yep, get John Kelly on it. It'll be done. Monk, how about you? Who's your favorite dog?
I love it. Yes, Lou is correct. Although I do agree with him wholeheartedly on his Fugitt pick there. I love to see that. Pinkies up, baby. Pinkies up, everybody, for Dennis Tululin. Tululin. We love to see him. $7,700. Guys, 4 points per minute. He scored 123, almost 124 against the almighty Jamie Pickett in his last fight. He's only $300 more than his average. Let's see. Jun-yong Park, surprisingly, when he loses, his last fight he lost, he gave up 120. In his 2 losses in the UFC, on average, he's giving up 127 points per loss. This dude's out here getting finished. This is going to go one of two ways. I'm not the first person to say that this week. Tululin early, Jun-yong Park late. I find more DraftKings upside ceiling with Dennis Tululin. Not a ton of dogs I like, as other people have also said this week, aside from Fugitt, who we just talked about. I like Tululin here at the $7,700 range. The salary voodoo's fantastic. This salary makes optimal lineup 35% of the time it walks into the cage. So, which is one of the highest numbers on the entire, out of any salary you can possibly play. And it's a dog salary. It has a more than 50% win rate. I could give you tons more stats, but long story short, Dennis Tululin is one of my favorite dogs at 7,700 over Jun-yong Park. Love Jun-yong Park. And the longer this fight goes, the more I think he's going to win. But he is susceptible to getting KO'd by my guy Tululin.
There we go. Yeah, I mean, there's not a ton of dogs that I love this week. My favorite is probably Jeka Saragih, and I have a lot of this fight. Ended up with a lot of it. More on the Saragih side myself at 8,000, just because I think he's the more dangerous fighter in this matchup. 13 wins. I think 12 of them have come inside the distance. Like, this guy has a ton of power. We saw it on the road to UFC fights, and I think if he does win, it's by knockout, and I think it's early as well. I do have some concerns about his cardio if it does get extended, but what I like about his style is he carries his power late. He was able to get like a 3rd round spinning back fist on the road to UFC. So even if he does look like he's slowing down early, that power still carries late. So he's going to be live for a knockout whenever the fight goes. But I think it's going to be early personally, and I think he has a pretty big upside here at only 8K. The line hasn't moved much throughout the week. Looks like it's been like -120 Jubli, +100 Sergey. But yeah, I still do like Sergey at 8,000 here. Gordo, how about you? Who you like him as a dog?
Yeah, well, I always write down 3 names because sometimes I want to get to them. But we're gonna have to go to the 3rd name here because I don't mind. I don't mind Fugitt either, actually. Fugitt and Sergey are my other 2. But let's go Derrick Lewis. I mean, you cannot look past this guy's potential. And I'm not saying he's gonna win this fight at a super high clip, but when we're looking at his salary, the way he's training this man slim thick now, he does have a chance to do so. He has a style that's gonna be able to let him stand up at all times. And I'm not picking him to win this fight. I'm just saying when he does win this fight, it's gonna score very well. Derrick Lewis, his capabilities. He's got the ability to knock anybody out at all times. And on a card where I'm picking a lot of these favorites, only takes one underdog knockout to win. And someone like Derrick Lewis is definitely the one to do that. Undefeated at the Apex. Who knows where his mind's at? I'm not saying it's not like he can be taken down and, finished early on, but he can also get right back up and finish right back himself. So give me Derrick Lewis as a underdog play this week.
Perfect. Sounds good to me. All right. Let us get into our prize picks section of things. Let me pull up the promo code here for prize picks. Promo code Pub Sports. Check it out. Get a deposit bonus. But yeah, there's a couple things that do stick out this week. I have 3 written down. I'll give my first one, and then if you guys don't touch on the other 2, I'll kind of explain those. But my first one I really like, and I don't know if these have moved at all because I did this yesterday, but I like Ji-yeon Kim over 77.5 strikes here. I think she clears that by a mile, honestly. I mean, I see really no grappling in this matchup. I think Mandy Bum's probably going to try to take down Kim. I don't see it happening, though. I think this fight does go 15 minutes. It's heavily favored to do so. And Kim, although she misses a ton, she throws a ton, and she's going to land like a quarter of that. And even that is still going to be enough to hit the 77.5. I think she probably clears the 100 mark, honestly. So yeah, give me Ji-yeon Kim over 77.5 strikes. Gordo, anything on prize picks sticking out to you?
Yeah, we're gonna go the fight doesn't go to decision, or the under 14.75 on the Iron Turtle and Monk's boy Tiludin. I don't mind that one there as well, because I think both those guys have ability to finish this fights. Like Monk said, it's either Tiludin early or it's Parkley. I think they both have finish potential, and you look at their metrics, they finish a lot of the time, so you get a decently implied probability of this fight finishing. So at 14.75, it's pretty much just, will it end inside the distance? Will it not? I think it does. That's what I'm not minding here.
Sounds good. I like that one as well. Lou, you got anything for Prize Picks?
Yeah, I know I just said I liked Fugitt to win, and that's why another reason I like this. I like Kinoshita under 59.5 strikes. If he lands 59 strikes, I imagine Fugitt is long asleep, and there were some late shots in there, or Fugitt gets the takedowns going, neutralizes him a little bit, tires him out, and he's not landing anything. So under 59.5 for me. The last time I was on the show, I did it with Walker, the exact same rationale. Either if he landed like 30 strikes, it meant Paul Craig was dead, or it meant he was tied up like a pretzel. So I think a lot of the same logic here.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be shocked if he landed that much and Fugitt didn't go down. Monk, how about you? You like anything on Prize Picks this week?
I do. I'm looking to keep my streak alive. We're gonna go Serghei Spivak over 30.5 significant strikes landed. I think we'll get to it, I'm sure. In fact, probably in the next category. But I'm picking Spivak to win. Love his DraftKings upside here. And I just, outside of a Lewis early KO, I think that Spivak can easily achieve that number, probably, I mean, in the second round, possibly third round. So I think that can get done, especially since I think there's going to be some ground and pound here. That could be done in the first round if that's the case. So give me Spivak over, I believe I said 30.5 significant strikes landed.
Yeah, I mean, as long as they count those ground strikes as significant, he should easily hit that. And sometimes
Yeah.
they don't for some reason, but yeah, that should hit. Two other ones that stuck out to me: Marcin Tybura under 84.5 fantasy score. I mean, this fight's going to be awful. I don't really see anybody scoring more than like 70. And then also Rinya Nakamura under 10 minutes fight time. I think he starches this guy in the first 5 minutes. So yeah, lots of options sticking out this week for Prize Picks. I think it's a pretty good Prize Picks slate. Again, be sure to use promo code PubSports for the deposit bonus there. All right, let us move to our favorite GPP play. I'll kick this one off because I just briefly brought him up, and it's Rinya Nakamura here, 9,300. I think he's going to be a little bit lower owned than Tybura, who's 9,600. Everybody's going to try to plug in their lineups, but I think Nakamura has a lot of upside as well. I think this guy has first round finish upside. I think it's a really, really bad matchup for Kazama. Kazama is typically somebody that wants to get the fight down to the mat. And good luck doing that against, Nakamura, who's a world champion wrestler. And then what impressed me the most about Nakamura, not only is he has that world champion wrestling, but he has a ton of power. Like, this guy's striking is pretty dang solid, and Kazama has nothing for him on the feet. I think Nakamura knocks him out in the first round. So I like Nakamura quite a bit at 9,300. He's my favorite GPP play. Monk, how about you? Who are you liking for a GPP play this week?
Love that pick. I'm going to go with someone who I just talked about for Prize Picks, Serghei Spivak against Derrick Lewis. I pick him to win this fight more times than not. You do have to watch out for the Lewis nuclear option, but outside of that, Spivak's scoring is phenomenal. You might have the highest DraftKings upside on the card, 5.17 points a minute in his last 5 fights. 114 is what he's getting per win. You're like, oh, well, that's his last 5 fights. What about his career? Those numbers are better than his career numbers, as where he's scoring 4.31 overall. Out of 9 UFC fights, best on the card, and he's averaging 113. So his last 5, he's making improvements on that while only giving up 2 points per minute. Derrick Lewis, when he's lost, he's 2-3, averaging 105 is what he's giving up. The guy's going to be 38 years old in 5 or 6 days. Let's not forget that. He is 2-3 in his last 5. The strength of schedule here is not even close. Obviously, Lewis has fought the better competition, but he does tend to, if he starts getting hit, and he starts getting wrestled with, he has the potential to kind of just, I don't want to say it, but give up the rest of the fight. So I'm expecting Spivak to land some takedowns here. I'm expecting control time, and I'm definitely expecting some ground and pound. I'm also expecting a finish here, honestly. Second round, early third round, something like that. Probably a ground and pound finish if Spivak can avoid that Lewis, bomb. That's my only concern here. But I think more often than not, he can. I like his score at 8,800. Probably the best DraftKings upside on the entire card. And there's 4 or 5 people ahead of him in salary. One of them is Ji-yeon Kim. So give me Spivak here. I think he has a ton of value at this salary.
Yep, I'm going to have my fair share of Spivak. Actually, is probably one of my highest owned this week, but I'm absolutely hedging with some Derrick Lewis because he's live to knock out anybody. Lou, how about you? Who are you liking as a GPP play?
I only wrote down one name, Brady, and it's Nakamura. I brought him up in the fight to target. I think he actually has a higher ceiling than Tyra in one sense. You mentioned his wrestling. You think he's going to knock him out. But he's another guy whereas Tyra is somewhat patient on the feet and picks his spots well, I think Nakamura, this fight's going to be on the ground within 20 seconds. And Nakamura is not finish dependent to put up 130 points in this. He can control the whole fight. He's going to be throwing strikes from top position the entire time until he gets a finish. He could just dump this guy over and over and over again if he wants. I think the sky's the limit for him score-wise here. Obviously, a first-round finish, he's going to get 120-ish with takedowns, maybe a knockdown. But, man, there's just a lot of paths for this guy to put up an absolute monster score.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Like him a lot. I'm hoping he comes in somewhat low owned. I think people will be on him, but hopefully he's not like crazy owned. Gordo, how about you?
Yep, for the second time, I have to go to the third name on my list, and I do have Nakamura as well. I do think Spivak is also a GPP option, but I think I'm going to go with Kinoshita as my GPP play, just because not only is he going to have the lowest ownership of those three guys up top, but he also has a very high win equity here in this spot. I think if he's winning this fight, it's more likely than not a finish, cracking that chain of Fugitt one more time, going out there looking for whether that be a standing knockout, a ground and pound one. We all know that Kinoshita has power. Maybe that's all he has. But in having that power, he has the ability to put anybody's lights out. And I do think that with lower ownership, with those knockdown and knockout points, he could be a decent GPP play at 9.1K.
Perfect. All right. Let us move on to the next section here. We have our favorite cash play, and I got to go against Monk here. I really do like Jung-yong Park in this matchup, 8,500. I like his durability. I like his cardio. I think he has, paths to win on the feet with the volume. And then I think especially as a path with the grappling as well. Very underrated grappling. He can mix in takedowns. And once he does get the fight down to the mat, he's very active at the ground and pound, the strikes. And I think he's live for a late submission as well. So I do like Jung-yong Park. Could he get starched early? Potentially. Dennis does hit really hard. He does go out there like a madman, but I think Park has all the tools to win this fight, win it late inside the distance, and I do like Park at only 8,500. Gordo, what is your favorite cash play this week?
Yeah, I'm going right to Rinya Nakamura, and I'm not going to spend too much time talking about him because a lot of you guys mentioned him in GPP, but I also think he has one of the highest floors on the slate. I think he wins his fight at a very, very high clip, and in doing so, he's the type of guy who, no matter what way he wins, I think he scores well in doing so. So he's a guy I want in all my cash lineups, similar to Tyra, but he comes at $300 cheaper. So I'm taking a lot of Rinya Nakamura in cash, and I think he does very well. I'm
right there with you. Lou, how about you? Who are you liking for cash?
I have Jung here. Finally, he's got over 100 in his last 3 wins. Technical analysis is that Devin Clark stinks. You can give me every argument you want about Jung's fight with Alvey, about Jacoby. Devin Clark is not as good as Sam Alvey, I don't think. He's taken a lot of beatings. I don't like his cardio. He can't wrestle for 15 minutes. He's a smaller guy. Everything's working against him here. I think Jung wins. And even in a decision, he can get 100 points if he gets takedowns. There's no reason he can't have takedowns on his own as this fight goes on and Clark wears, or he could just crack him early. Clark has taken so much damage over these last couple of fights that I don't think it'll take much to get him out of there. So a lot of different ways he can win. Any of them are going to score pretty. He's going to at worst get 10x here for cash. So Jung is the play for me.
Yep, absolutely love that call. Monk, how about you? Who you liking for cash?
Not as good as Sam Alvey. Woo-hoo-hoo. Cut to Devin Clark shedding a tear on his couch. I'm going to go with Cash Suro Tyra this week at 9,600. Guy scores 4.26 a minute so far into his UFC career, 101 points per win. He's not going to get beat by Aguilar. This salary has a win rate of 87.5%. I'm picking Tyra in cash because I will be under the field to him in GPPs. I really don't think he jailed Almeida's this guy and scores 125 points. I'm hoping to be wrong because I do like the kid, and he has made optimal lineup in both of his UFC fights so far. I would love nothing more than to see a third. I just think he's a bit too expensive, so I will be slotting him in for cash just because I want to play him in some sort of tournaments because I think he's a kid that can win you some money. So give me a Cash Suro Tyra for my cash play here.
Yep, can't argue that. I mean, the guy is a huge favorite. I think it's like minus 1,500 on some books, so you should go out there and win pretty good
Crazy.
money. Oh yeah. All right, let us move on to our favorite value play, and this is somebody that Lou brought up a little bit earlier. It's Adam Fugitt, 7,100. I mean, this guy's pretty good. I think he's getting a little bit underrated in the spot. He is very hittable. I don't like his strike and defense, but he can crack in his own right. Like this guy's a ton of power, and on top of that, he has all the grappling upside in this matchup. Like if he's able to take down Kinoshita, Fugitt's very dangerous on the mat. So, yeah, I like Fugitt here. I think he's very, very underpriced at 7,100. I feel like this fight, I don't want to say it can go either way because Kinoshita is going to have a striking advantage with the power and all that, and Fugitt being hittable. But I just feel like Fugitt does have some paths to victory, whether it is a knockout on the feet, whether it is getting this fight down to the mat. So I'll be playing some Fugitt in a fight that I do think finishes inside the distance more often than not. Monk, how about you? Who's your favorite value play this week?
I'm going to go with somebody that we have not mentioned, one of the road to the UFC guys, Ji-yeon at 7,300. I love the potential value here. He's fighting a guy who has two fights in this tournament, Ji-yeon Lee, but is only fought for a combined 1.3 minutes, and he's given up over 6 points per minute in that 1.3 minutes, and most of those were takedowns and control time. I look over at Ji-yeon. He put in 17 minutes so far into this tournament. Over 3 points per minute in takedowns and control time. Scores almost 5 a minute. 102.5 is what he would have put up per win. I absolutely love the big upside here from a $7,300 underdog. I mean, outside of Fugitt and outside of my guy Tululin, I don't know who I'm going to be picking for underdogs here for the most part. I mean, Lewis, I'll have some Lewis, obviously, but outside of that, I'm going to need some more of these guys to get to my Tyras, to get to my Nakamuras and my Kinoshitas, and of course my Ji-yeon Kims. So I'm going to need guys like Ji-yeon here at 7,300. I think he's got great potential value. I mean, we haven't seen Jeong-yeong Lee in, outside of the tournament, go past just a few seconds. So what happens if this goes into the second round, 6th, 7th minute? I don't know. We don't know. So give me the stab here on Ji-yeon for some good potential value.
Yeah, I can't believe this is the first time we've talked about that fight. I think this fight's super important. I think it's like minus 240, minus 250 to not go the distance. Both guys really good finishers. Lee had a ton of power on the feet. Yi, very good grappler. I think it's a great fight to target. Lou, what is your favorite value play for this week?
I feel like I'm cheating on this one because he's 8,000, but I'm getting a Jeka Saragih here. The reason I think it's my favorite value play is I realize this is Twitter's divisive fight of the week.
Yeah.
But I think this guy should be like a 2-1 favorite to me. Like, I like his skill set. I think the grappling's pretty close. I think on the feet, he's got more power. He's more explosive. I like his finish potential here. Even in a decision, I think he could score over 100 easily. I know he's 8,000. It doesn't seem like a great value play, but when I have him personally capped as somebody who should be a pretty substantial favorite in that like high minus 100s range, I think it's great value for him. So
let's go. Yep, I'm right there with you. I have a ton of him this week. And then Gordo, I believe, right? Who's your favorite value play?
Yeah, don't worry, Luke. I'm going to one-up you. I'm going to do even worse. You know what? I'm going to be just super selfish and take this time to talk about someone we haven't talked about yet. Give me Doo-ho Choi as my value play because at $8,600, he isn't much value, but we haven't talked about him yet. And I do think he has the tools to go out there and look like a hindsight value play at $8,600. I know you guys, I'll leave all the chirping the Canadians to you guys, but I do think he's getting a huge step down in competition here with Kyle Nelson. I think he's facing a guy who keeps his hands not in the best spot when you're facing Doo-ho Choi. He's going to be beaten to the punch. He's going to be at a huge disadvantage down the stretch as well. And I do think Doo-ho Choi not only has that first round potential to knock out Kyle Nelson, but will have the cardio to deal with him down the stretch. And of course, I am worried with you guys with that 3-year knockout. I am that 3-year layoff and that back-to-back knockout threat. But I do think that Doo-ho Choi is the better fighter here. And I do think this is a spot for him to get right on this UFC Asia card or something like that. And I do think that Doo-ho Choi gets back on the right track here and could look like value, but kind of being selfish because his salary is pretty up there.
Yep, that's pretty crazy. Another fight we didn't talk about, Doo-ho Choi, Kyle Nelson, like that's absolutely another fight to target. So there's some really good fights on this card that I feel like should absolutely be targeted. And those are just a couple of them. Choi Nelson, Kinoshita, Fugitt, I mean, Jubli, Sergey, like a ton of fights that I think can score well. The main event, of course, Jung, Lots of great DraftKings plays this week. All right, let us get to our dart throw. Lou, we'll kick it off to you. Who are you liking as a dart throw this week?
Well, you said we didn't talk about that fight, so let's talk about it twice in a row, and let's talk about the other side. The pride of Canada, not named Gordo Gambles. Let's talk about Nelson as a dart throw. Do I think he is good? No, I do not. But Choi, again, everything you know about him, has not fought for years. Cub Swanson looks like he took his soul. Hasn't looked good since. Nelson at least has been active. He survived the Herbert fight, which was, I think every parlay I had was anchored to like fight doesn't go. So I'm kind of still stung over that, but Nelson survived it. We're taking a guy that hasn't fought in years. I can't assume that Choi is going to just roll him. He had moments, even his last 2 knockout losses, but the longer this fight goes, the better I got to feel about Nelson, landing a shot. So I can't imagine his ownership's going to be absurdly high. It's a 12-fight slate. I get it, but because nobody wants to put Kyle Nelson in their lineup, so makes him a great dart throw for me. So let's go. Let's go Canada.
Let's go. For me, I'm going to go with Mandy Bum. No, just kidding. I'm going to go with Kyle Nelson as well, Lou. This guy, like you said, there's just a ton of question marks on the Choi side. I mean, 3-year layoff. The dude's not won in almost 7 years. And I think he probably does go out here and finish Kyle Nelson. But, Kyle Nelson's very dangerous in his own right. Choi is very defensively irresponsible. Like, it wouldn't shock me in the slightest if Kyle Nelson was able to land a big shot. I don't think he's going to have much success in the wrestling and the grappling, but for what it's worth, he will probably go out there and get takedowns. He is a BJJ brown belt, but I think his best chance is probably going to be knocking out Choi in what's probably going to be a war like all Choi's fights are. So, yeah, I do like Kyle Nelson. I think he's going to be very, very, very low owned this week, and I think he has some sneaky finish upside here. So give me Kyle Nelson, 7,600 as my dart throw. Gordo, how about you? Who's your dart throw for this week?
Yeah, for the record, I don't disagree. A big play of mine is that under in that fight. I do think it finishes one way or the other. And if you're going to burn me like the same way I did with Herbert, well, so be it. But let's talk about my dart throw here. Another fight we haven't talked about at all. And I'm surprised because I've seen nothing but love on the underdog. And that's why my dart throw this week is going to be a favorite. I'm on Hyun-sung Park as my dart throw this week, just because I think he's going to come in at very, very low ownership with the people around him. And this guy is a finisher. I do think he has the ability to finish this fight, whether it be with his aggressive style on the feet, with throwing with power, or whether it be his great grappling game on the ground there. I think that at $8,400, he has huge finish potential and is going to come really low owned with the people around him. I know you have that Jubli Saragih fight that's going to be high owned. You have that Park to Ludin fight, and a lot of lineups I have to assume are going to go towards a higher build with Nakamura, with Tyrus. So I do think that Park's being very, very overlooked. I do think he's going to come at a lower ownership with a super high ceiling in that right.
Yeah, I like that one as well. I have my fair share of him also, and I'm shocked we haven't talked about him either. This card's stacked for DraftKings. Monk, how about you? Who is your dart throw for this week?
Well, I had Nelson, which is a great pick. I had Fugitt as well, but we've already talked about him a ton. I can't even believe I'm going to say this, so I'm actually going to cheat. Doesn't matter, Kim or Bum. That's my dart throw. Either one of them. I was going to say Mandy Bum, but how could anyone actually say that? Guys, the ownership here is going to be possibly single digits for Bum, even with 24 fighters. Kim won't be much more than that. You could combined ownership is going to be lower than some of just one fighter's ownership on this card here. I think either one of these, I mean, can you imagine the scenes at the Apex Center if Mandy Bum comes out here and just sleeps Ji-yeon Kim? I mean, if she wins the fight, guys, there might be 5% of all lineups that are even still alive with her on the optimal lineup. So even 10%, my whole point of this, 10% of Mandy Bum, which is still like this much, could be double or triple the field, and something could happen there. Even with Ji-yeon Kim, nobody's going to be on her at $9,000, guys. There's always a chance. Listen, she could Nadia Kassem this chick and score 113 and make optimal lineup. So again, 5 to 10% ownership for a dart throw, I'll take it.
Yeah, maybe the fight's so bad that the ref just randomly stops the fight in the first round and somebody gets a first round bonus. Like, I could see that happening potentially.
Yeah.
So.
Well, also, lastly on that fight, if I could find it, yeah, they've had 5 fights total since 2021. 4 of their opponents have made the optimal lineup. These chicks are just putting people on the optimal lineup, and now they're fighting each other. So that's all I'm going to say.
That's terrifying. I won't have any of it, but man, we'll see what happens there. All right, so let us take a look at the lineups for last week and see how we did here. We have in fourth place. There we go. We got Uncle Weezy, which maybe that's why I didn't show up today. No, I'm just kidding. We had Jonathan Almeida, 125. Gregory Rodriguez, 8. Terrence McKinney, 10. Brandon Moreno, 98. Teixeira, 52. And Lauren Murphy, 40. In third place was me. I had Almeida, 125. Rodriguez, 8. Figueiredo, 14. And Moreno, 98. Marcos, 104. And Munir Lazez, 3. In second place looks to be Gordo with Almeida 125, Andrade 130, McKinney 10, Teixeira 52, Marcos 104, and Lacerda 40. And then in first place was Monk, Almeida 125, Moises 113, Hill 137, Moreno 98, Paul Craig 120, 1.20, and then Munir Lazez 3.6 for a grand total of 479.51. Congrats, Monk. You got it done.
Craig at 120 I would have been bouncing off the walls. That would have been quite nice. Yeah, let's keep it rolling here. Nice to get a win in just the second week. I'm greedy though. Got to get me another one.
Gordo should have used my lineup when I subbed for him because that was the Iron Man 2 weeks ago, and that got 509 points. So Gordo, you should have used my lineup for that.
Yep. No, you know what? You live and you learn. I'll get there next time. Maybe I'll just have to take a week off and then listen to what you say next week.
No, it was the blind squirrel.
All righty. Let's talk about the current scores. We have in fourth place, we have Monk with 848.46. In third place is me with 897.85. In second place is Gordo with 899.86. And in first place is Weezy with 903.20. We are all very, very, very close to start the year 2 cards in. But yeah, Weezy's in first place thus far. So shout out to Weezy. He's not here right now, but he'll be back next week. All right. Lineups for this week, guys. We'll start with you, Lou. Do you have a lineup ready for this week?
I do. I am going to go with Tetsuro Taira, Nakamura, the Iron Turtle, Jeka Saragih, Derrick Lewis, and Adam Fugitt.
All right. I'm going to go with
stars and scrubs.
I'm doing kind of stars and scrubs as well. I got Nakamura, Da Eun-jung, Jung-young Park, Jeka Saragih, Hyun-sung Park, and Adam Fugitt. I think that's 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's 6. All right. Monk, what is your lineup for this week?
I thought we'd already be way closer than we were. I'm going to go with Tyra, Serghei Spivak, Da Eun-jung, Jeka Saragih, Dennis Tululin, and Adam Fugitt.
So it looks like everybody's on Fugitt thus far. Gordo, what do you got?
I'm just deciding which one. Let's go with this one here. It might change throughout the week. This is a real dangerous lineup, I'll tell you that right now. But stars and scrubs as well. Tyra up top, Nakamura as well, Choi, Saragih, Derrick Lewis, and Adam Fugitt.
There we go. It looks like everybody's on Fugitt. Let's see if it works out. And then we'll be getting Weezy's lineup throughout the week also. All right, so what we'll do now, guys, if you guys are in the chat, first of all, thank you for hanging out. Second, hit the like. Third, hit the subscribe. And fourth, if you guys can comment down any questions, and I'll kind of look through the chat to see if we missed anything. But what we're going to do now is we're going to give our quick picks, and we'll start with Lou. Lou, what do you got for the quick picks this week?
Monk's going to know this show on Friday is going to be interesting when he hears this. Tetsuro Taira, the Iron Turtle, by default, Kim, Hyun-sung Park, Nakamura, Jun-yong Lee, Jeka Saragih, and that's going to get real interesting. Fugitt, Nelson, Bulgarian 50 Cent, Blagoy Ivanov, to Jung, and Derrick Lewis.
There we go. It got interesting indeed. For me, I'm going to go with Tetsuro Taira, Jung-young Park, Ji-yeon Kim, Hyun-sung Park, Rinya Nakamura, Jung-young Lee, Jeka Saragih, Yusaku, Kinoshita, Kyle Nelson, Blagoy Ivanov, Da Eun-jung, and Serghei Spivak. Gordo, what do you got for the quick picks?
It's not pretty, guys. It's not pretty. Tetsuro Taira, Jun-young Park, Ji-yeon Kim, Hyun-sung Park, Rinya Nakamura, Ji-yeon Lee, Anshul, Jubli, a bit different than you guys there. Yusaku, Kinoshita, Choi, Marcin, Tybura, Da Eun-jung. And you guys heard it right. I have yet to pick a dog officially. So for the memes, for the culture, let's go Derrick Lewis in the main event.
There we go. You didn't want to pick Mandy Bum as far as a meme goes?
I was close to it, but I there's only so much I can handle.
That's about as meme as it gets, but
That's
I
about
agree.
it, yes.
Derrick Lewis is very meme as well. And then Monk, how about you? What are your quick picks?
I'm gonna go Tyra, Tululin, Ji-yeon Kim, Hyun-sung Park, Rinya Nakamura, Jung-yong Lee. Sorry, I'm only looking at their last names and trying to remember off the top of my head. Jeka Saragih, Yusaku Kinoshita, what's his name? Yusaku, Duho Choi. We're going Marcin Tybura, Da-un Jung, and Serghei Spivak. Nosferatu himself. Guys, think you're all forgetting this card is happening in the middle of the night. This guy's a fucking vampire. What are we even thinking? Gordo, you're gonna regret the Derrick Lewis pick. He's gonna have to bring a wooden stake into the octagon, I think.
I actually saw he's wearing garlic covered shorts, so I think he'll be all right.
Well, hey, never mind that. It might counteract each other.
Yeah, it definitely could, but that is a good point, Monk. It's going to be late. Vampires stay up late. I like that point there. I should have factored it in my capping, to be honest. But let's see if we missed any questions, and we did. We have one question from Frank. What is up, Frank? Saying someone worse than Alvey. Who is he talking about for this one?
I said Devin Clark was worse.
His name's Alvey Amadovsky. How's that?
Yeah, Alan Amadovsky is probably worse than us.
There's some bad ones, man. There's some bad ones.
Mandy Bum is on this card, Mike.
Mandy Bum's on this card, and that's all the questions we got. So yeah, thank you all for hanging out. It was a fun show, fun card. Next week should be a really good card, UFC 284. Looking forward to that. But I'm gonna kick it around here. We'll start with you, Lou. Lou, let the people know where they can find you, what you have going on throughout the week. And you have a busy week, and I already had a busy week thus far with some content.
Yeah, so in 10 minutes, I'm doing a show. Taking a 10-minute break and then doing a show with Pat, Addicted to Combat, breaking down the card. I'll explain why I like Yam Bags and the Fugitt fight so much. Tomorrow, recording the prop show with my friend Paul Dahl, Friday at 5:30, every Friday at 5:30 with the Monk Competition. Last time we agreed on every fight. We are not agreeing this time. On the MMA Engine channel, of course.
There we go. I like it. Gordo, let the people know where they can find you, what you have going on throughout the week. I know you're already on the Die Hard MMA podcast. So if you have not checked it out, be sure to go check that out, guys. He did a great job.
Well, thank you, my friend. Yeah, I did that on Monday here, also on Pub Sports Radio. I did that with Clint, but also put out a video myself on the Plays and Fades YouTube channel talking about DFS and betting. That is out there. And only one more video for me this week. That is going to be the Daily Fan MMA video with Brett. Fortunately, behind a paywall, but be sure to check that out if you guys like. But other than that, guys, good luck. Enjoy the fights this weekend if you do stay up to watch them. And I wish everybody makes some money on it.
And Monk, let the people know about the content, what you got going on, and what you've already put out this week.
Lots of content this week. Game Theory's out, doing good over there on that one. Keep at it, guys. Over on the Monk Maddox channel. Did just put out Salary Voodoo on MMA Engine just before this show went live, so that one is live right now. Was live earlier on the Kill Shot podcast, DFS Army, with Kyle Marley, went over all 12 fights. And then, of course, Friday, 4:30 Central, 5:30 Eastern, for the happiest hour there is, happy hour with Monk and Lou. Can't wait to get into it with him. Other than that, man, I'm really looking forward to next week's card, man. I might be Nosferatuing it myself after this card and just getting right into UFC 284. So let's just keep it rolling, make some money, and enjoy the fights, everybody.
Let's do it. Looking forward to it. Yeah, guys, follow me on Twitter, DFS_numbers, Instagram, DFS by the numbers. If you want to see me shake my ass, go to my TikTok, DFS_numbers there, shaking my ass all day on that. So check that out. And yeah, guys, like, subscribe, become a member here at Pub Sports. Check out the contest, pubsportsradio.com, win a free $100. And I think that's about it. So good luck. Should be a card. Should be a card that's going to happen Saturday night, and it should be a card that we're going to watch. So looking forward to that, and looking forward to next week for 284. Best of luck. We'll talk to you soon, and see you later.